Well, hello, my squires and my ladies and my NBs. How are you getting on? I am Sean Ferrick, and I'm going to talk to you about the Elysian Kingdom this week. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who likes, who shares, and subscribes. I know yous are blue in the face hearing me talking about this, but every time that you do that, you are absolutely helping us grow. We are potentially getting too big. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's wonderful when you do that. You are doing so much good. You're awesome. Now, okay, right, so that's the spiel. You know what we're going to do. We're going to go through this week's episode, and we're going to give everything that we like an up and everything that we didn't like a down. Without much further ado, let's go. There are all the ups and downs for Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 8, The Elysian Kingdom. Kicking off straight away with an up this week, Dr. M'Benga. Babs Olusomakan is absolutely great this week. It's so nice to see him get such a chunky role. Now, obviously, it's in a kind of a fantasy, wishy-washy, everything's kind of weird world, which is so much fun. He gets to kind of play it straight while also being the character who pushes things along. Because in any situation like this, when the audience is sort of thrown a bit of a curveball, you need someone to be like, oh, I will be your stand-in for the audience this week, and that is absolutely M'Benga. The whole setup that he's reading the book to Rokia, and then that moment where he walks out on the bridge. Since the trailer where we saw Pike run up to him, address him as king, and just, you know, kind of that whole Dungeons and Dragons feel to the episode with M'Benga going, what the hell? It just works so well because it's so silly, and yet, as I say, he absolutely stony-faced for the whole time, even though he is the one who kind of has to go like, well, we need to play the game to get to the end, and therefore I will be the king, I guess. Love it, absolutely love it. And as the episode goes on, he gets to really show what he can do, because we see his worry over, where is Rokia? She's not in the transporter, which we know is bad. And then, of course, as it goes on, he plays along with all the different characters, the interaction that's going on, sees that Hemmer knows what's going on as well, so he's like, oh, I might just try and save you, and then ends up in front of the Queen. And all of this time, he balances this is utterly ridiculous with, this is what I need to do now to get to the end. Really, really works for me. So massive up this week goes to M'Benga, because also, it just gives us so much more of him as a character. Episode 8 of 10, and there are still some characters who are suffering from a lack of depth, from a lack of exposure. Looking at you, Ortegas. This episode helped me immeasurably when it comes to just loving M'Benga as a character. So for me, M'Benga this week, massive up. Now, second up of the week is, how bonkers was this episode? I love the fact that Strange New Worlds, which is like this massive, this important show, we're gonna, you know, basically we're starting Star Trek again, if you like, we're going all the way back in time. This has to be taken well, this has to be successful. I know, let's do a D&D episode. I love the chances that are being taken on this series. Nearly every episode has had a different tone. This one, balls to the wall comedy. For the most part, everyone just commits so wholeheartedly to their characters. And it's just a joy, an absolute joy to watch. And the way that they use the existing sets, like, you know, carefully and smartly. Like, this is a complete bottle show. This only happens on the Enterprise. There's not much else going on. And yet, with some hanging canvases, with some wreaths of flowers, it just works. So well done. Really, really enjoying the tone. You know, like, I have been known to dabble in a little bit of D&D. I'm a level 7 half-elf paladin. And so I enjoyed all of this, because it's just so much fun to see. Basically, they're all LARPing. Reminds me of the Ren Fair from Lower Decks, actually. Oh yeah, I wonder if that was deliberate. That works for me. That works a lot. But just seeing Anson Mount be so silly, seeing Christina Chong be so silly, it's just so much fun. And seeing Celia Rose Gooding just absolutely, you know, kind of like almost mustache twirling evil. Oh, so much fun. This is the kind of Trek that I like. It's the one that's just like, it dares to take a risk. It dares to do something different. And that's what you need to do. We have so much Trek at the moment, which is great, and I'm so happy. If it's all the same, it's going to blend. you can definitely say this. With this kind of an episode, Strange New Worlds does not fall into the camp of, sure, listen, it's all the same as everything else, really. I am going to go with a down. So with the silliness of the episode, which I love, and obviously all of the different characters playing characters from the book, which I love, I didn't love the constant introduce character, flashback to the book, they're playing this person, back to the character. Okay, great, we've done that once. Okay, next character, flashback to the book. We get it, they're from the book. Oh, we're gonna do this for every character. I see. That to me, it was just like, stop it. Stop doing that. Trust your audience. We know. And whether it was just, hey, listen, we made a nice picture book and we want to show it, which I can respect. As an artist, I can respect that. But yes, it was just like, it's sort of, not massively, like I'm not saying this spoiled the episode, it most certainly did not. It did sort of break the pacing, just a tiny little bit. It was almost like chapter headings. It's not necessary. That for me, it was, it's a small thing, but it was a down for me this week, I'm afraid. Sorry. Up, Anson Mount. Is there anything this man can't do? I didn't realise Anson Mount, he's doing really well in every episode anyway, but his comedic timing is so well. And you can see in him, he is definitely Pike, but he's also just this absolute coward. And so funny. And things like, bring on the jester, hold the jester. So funny. Oh my God, it works so well for me. And then as the episode goes on, the fact that I don't want to die, I'm too young, and then he just survives it. Oh my God, I have to say, I was piss funny. To borrow an Adam Clearyism, it was piss funny is what it was. Reminds me of things like Bride of Chaotica, where you have Janeway is so silly. Reminds me of the opening of season 3 of Discovery, where you've got Burnham high as a kite. Damn. It's so much fun to see these otherwise serious characters just kind of stepping out a little bit. It's funny actually, you kind of think of you probably wouldn't catch Avery Brooks or even Patrick Stewart doing this. Well, actually, I tell you what, sorry, I take that back. Patrick Stewart, Stardust City Rag, did go in for the silly a little bit. I guess you could say Armand Bashir, Avery Brooks. No, do you know what? Star Trek is doing bloody well with silly captains, and this makes me happy. But so much fun this week, just seeing Anson Mount clearly have an absolute ball with the material. Also, love his uniform. Also, love his upside down delta as well. I don't know, I just love it. The fact that it's just so ridiculously long. Also, none of this episode looked cheap. All right, I'm gushing. And this week's Pike's Peak, we have another new hairstyle for Pike. What is going on in the hairdressing room for this man? Christina Chong, up. Oh my God, how funny was she this week? I'd say nearly, it's sort of much of a muchness for who I loved most, either Anson Mount or Christina Chong this week. But as the princess, she was just bonkers and totally commits. And she is, couldn't think of a line fast enough, so I hope you enjoyed the noises. And it was so good. Myself and Chris were talking before we recorded this video, and we thought, is there a Paramount show right now that's just that is just a fantasy world? Did they just walk over and take their costumes? Because it just looks, it's so ready-made. And the big flowing gown and everything. She manages to play the stereotype of the damsel that happens in so many fairy tales, and yet still puts her own spin on it. Because we know her as La'an. We know her as a serious character and, tragic backstory and all that, and then we get this. And I'm just like, you have range, Christina, you have range. There is one thing I am lamenting about this though, is that because no one remembers this time by the episode's end, spoiler I guess, but I presume you've watched the episode if you're watching this, what would we have given to have a scene of her either remembering how she acted or even reading, let's say, Mbenga's log entry where she's like, I did what? That would have been great, but just so good, so good. Actually, you know what? Another up. Runa the dog. This episode has a dog in it, that gets an up. That's the rules. That's the rules. I will say though, shouldn't Mbenga's tricorder have picked up the fact that Runa was non-corporeal? Unless Unless the dog has always been there and is going to play a major part in the rest of the season. Oh, I like where my headcanon is going. I do have a down, which is... So did Una just like straight up kill those people? I mean, is it not important that we maybe check on the poor... I mean, I love the fact the Crimson Guard, the red shirts, hello. But like, you know, they both get hit by an arrow. In fact, that bugs me. I think I'm gonna do a Trellium down. Una's archery gets an up from me. I am saying this of my own free will. In fact, hold on. I'm getting something. We're going live to Canon Watch. Hello Sean, welcome to Canon Watch, and I hope your arm is okay. I'm Sean with Canon Watch, and we are here to address the fact that those crewmen are dead. That is right, there are 2 crewmen who take an arrow straight in the body and they stay down. And we know that from the original series they don't show up again, which means it's canon. Una killed those crewmen, and she did it with finesse and she did it with style. Now, she did wound Mitchell, but Mitchell did tend to walk away. So the Canon Watch for this week says that those red shirts most certainly red-shirted, and it was done by a Federation officer. Sean, this has been Canon Watch for this week. Look after yourself. See you soon. Thanks for that, Sean. Good hair. I have a down, which I'm going to say carefully. Right, a down this week is love that Hemmer got so much to do. Lovely seeing Hemmer again after a few episodes worth of absence. Bruce Horak is just so much fun. He commits to the role really, really well, even though he gets to play the role straight, kind of, you know, and then I just love the fact, like, you know, abracadabra, that's great. You're going, Sean, where's your down? Right, Hemmer, being telepathic, is able to basically tell the being, do you know what? No, you get out of my antennae. And it works, and we have a kind of a sidekick for Mbenga. But if the rule is that he's telepathic, therefore, shouldn't Spock have been able to do the exact same thing? Because, you know, Vulcans are telepathic, which has been established for quite a while now. Not that I would sacrifice Ethan Peck as the wizard, which I just think is brilliant. As Pollock's just so good, and the long hair and the staff, and he's being a shifty git. Works for me. But shouldn't Spock have been able to throw off the telepathy as well? If you think to Star Trek Voyager for a second, the first contact with Species 8472 happens with Kes, because Kes Ocampan telepathic. Once Kes was let go from Voyager, Tuvok becomes the character with whom 8472 communicates, because he's telepathic. Later on, then in Counterpoint, all the Vulcans on the ship have to go into transporter stasis because they're telepathic. So, shouldn't Spock have been able to throw this off as well? Kind of feel bad for poor old telepathic Spock. Although, by the looks of the season gone, and by the looks of the episodes coming, Spock has an awful lot to do, so, I mean, the down stands. But it's not like he's stuck for a storyline. And, speaking of storyline, up. I love the fact that we got closure on the Mbenga and Rokia storyline. Even though there is a moment where it's just like, oh, he's never going to see his kid again. That's sad. That's not good at all. We've been quite harsh on the Rokia storyline with this season of Strange New Worlds, because I did feel up until this week that it was sort of not going anywhere. You know, it was like, oh, okay, his kid's in the transporter. In hindsight, okay, I think they did it the right amount. So I'm actually gonna latinum up the closure that we got for Rokia's storyline this week. Not just because finally she's out the transporter, well, hey, and not just because she's been healed, which is also just wonderful, because, you know, this is a show that just plugged a kid in as a battery a couple of episodes ago. If they killed her, it kind of would be in theme, but I'm glad they didn't do that. There was a moment when child Rokia is, I suppose, spirited away by Deborah. What a great name. I'm so sorry. Just Deborah as the name for this being. To all of the Deborahs who are watching this right now, you have an amazing name, and I would name a nebula after you right this second, okay? That's That's from me to you. There is a moment where she's spirited away and it just holds on Mbenga. And it looks for a second as if, you know, although his child is alive and safe, he's never going to see her again. There was just that moment of, oh my God, Star Trek, not only have you just made sure he won't see his kid again, but when you add the original series to this, you've just added the fact that he's going to be in a state of utter depression to the point where McCoy's going to take his job as chief medical officer of the Enterprise. That changes everything about the original series. Every time you see Mbenga, it's like, you know, look at the cold, dead eyes in this man. He's broken and sad. However, she comes back as an adult. She's then mature enough, old enough to be able to say to him, you made the right choice. I am well, I am safe, I am happy. Good save, Strange New Worlds. Very good save, because I think if they hadn't done that, like that, well, you would have had, you know, kind of like retroactively utter depression on poor old Mbenga. But it's just like, Give the man a happy ending. Now, he's going to go off fly fishing, hopefully actually fly fishing this week. As some people spotted, it wasn't actually fly fishing he was doing the previous episode. But yes, he can go and enjoy himself knowing that Rokia is safe. He doesn't have to worry about, you know, the Enterprise running out of power and then whoops, she's been lost. Doesn't have to worry about all the times people are playing Enterprise bingo with a sickbay transporter and like, you know, oh, sorry Rokia, I'll just push you out of the pattern butter now for a second. You're grand, yeah? You're grand. God, I hope you're grand. Don't know where the character's going to go. That's honestly now, like from here, because everything about Mbenga was really kind of set up to be about him and his daughter. Now we've addressed that part of his storyline. So where do we go from here? I guess, not to pass the book, that's on you, writers. You gotta show me what's going. Actually, tiny little spoiler for next week. Well, not a spoiler, but I'm going to discuss the preview for next week right now, okay? So, grand, I've given you time. Preview for next week includes Mbenga. We see Spock in what seems to be an out-of-power Enterprise hallway, or, as Chris spotted, this could be the downed Constitution class that was in the previous trailer. There's blood on the floor, it's all very serious, it looks kind of almost like, reminds you of Aliens, and then Anson Mount's Pike just kind of taps him on the shoulder and Spock jumps. And Mbenga kind of goes, I didn't realize you were so jumpy. Dude, read the room. What? Like, there's blood everywhere.
Of course the man's afraid.
So apparently, where Mbenga's storyline is going to go is that now that all of his good and happiness, you know, kind of, Rokia is fine. Great, now I can be a dick. So we're going to see where this goes, but honestly, really enjoyed it. So the story, it's a Latinum up. That's how much I liked it. The fact that we got this complete storyline with Rokia, it gets resolved. I am happy now. This is not a down by any way, but there's only 2 episodes left and we're running out of time to expand all of the characters. I need them to do something with Ortegas. She's been wonderful. She's been so much fun. She's such a good presence in this episode, but her character has not been expanded in any kind of meaningful way. I did love the exchange between Ortegas and Una. I thought that was really fun. You know, we know each other very well. Yeah, I'm sure you do. That's great. That's fun. But, man, we've only 2 episodes left. So literally, okay, maybe Hemmer. I was gonna say every other character has been given fleshed out or backstory or whatever. So, yeah, it's not a down, because it's not like this episode did anything wrong. This is just kind of, we'll call it Sean's stream of consciousness. I needs to see backstory on Ortegas. I needs it. Now that we've done all of that, please come and join me at Sedation Observations. This episode was actually somewhat light on the Easter eggs this week because, well, frankly, there was enough else going on. So, the first Easter egg I'm going to discuss is actually the tone of the episode overall. It's very evocative of these other fun episodes that have done this kind of thing, this kind of fish out of water. So let's go back as far as the original series. You've got the Squire of Gothos, you know, you've got Trelane, who's definitely not Q, takes them out, you know, kind of puts them in this almost Edwardian Victorian setting. Then you've also got Plato's stepchildren, where Kirk is, you know, a horse. Because why wouldn't he be? Something a little bit like Shore Leave as well. Then going into the next generation, and the first one that jumps to mind, of course, is Cupid, which is just so much silly fun. This time we actually do get Q, but of course they're all Robin Hood, and we get the immortal line, "I must protest, I am not a merry man." Going into Deep Space Nine, you've got Move Along Home, where you've got technically it's not just a fish out of water. I'm just thinking of Avery Brooks. I've made this point before, but the brief was, okay, listen, you've got to do the hopscotch and say the rhyme. Avery Brooks is like, nah, hold my synthahol. A la Moraine, count to 4, a la Moraine, then 3 more. Sorry, people will slate Move Along Home as an episode, and you know what, I'll be one of them, but I won't slate that. Going into Voyager then, of course, I mentioned Bride of Chaotica earlier on, but also things like The Thaw as well, which is, while quite scary, it is such a silly episode. It just works. Discovery, you've got things like Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, and of course the previously mentioned That Hope Is You Part 1. And then Stardust City Rag. So things like this. I know, I'm just naming episodes at this point. These kind of tonal shift episodes are so important for the longevity of a show because you need to have a break. You need to have something that changes, it stops stagnation. That's really what we're looking for. And it works. It really, really works. So for me, the tone of this episode overall, that was just an Easter egg all in of itself. Now, the other Easter eggs, again, I've barely any for you this week. We talk about the inability to create a static warp bubble. That's what Spock says toward the start. Now, that to me reminds me of the static warp shell from All Good Things, which is how they collapse the anomaly in the Devron system. It's bad news for 2 of 3 enterprises. Well, technically 3 enterprises, I guess. One ship goes boom for every nacelle on the third one. The last Easter egg I have for you, it's when Hemmer uses his magic wand, or a communicator, to beam Queen Nev and the rest away. The original series theme plays over that. Now, you might be like, John, that's kind of the Stranger New Worlds theme as well. And I will say to you, don't question me.
Don't question me.
That is it for our list this week. What did you think of this episode? Did you enjoy the fact it went so silly, or were you just like, no, I want Gorn, damn it, give me Gorn. Whatever you thought, drop it into the comments below, and remember that you can get in touch with us over on Twitter at Trek Culture. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick on the various socials as well. Remember, check out the Clone Star podcast, where we have very fun interviews with some pretty cool names from behind the scenes of Star Trek, if I do say so myself. You look after yourselves, everyone. Make sure that you live long and prosper. If you don't, I'm gonna come and hug you until you do. Be kind to each other. Take a few minutes every day just to be like, you know what, I actually matter and I really should look after myself. You deserve to be happy. Remember that. No matter how you're feeling, you deserve to be happy. My friends in Ukraine, you deserve so much. We are thinking of you. We love you. Please stay safe. Please stay well. Everyone, you're all awesome. Thank you so much again. Now go and have a wonderful week. Make it so.